Hello, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. Today we're just going to be looking over the groups of drugs in this kind of episode of Not So Easy to Learn. I gotta stop doing that. But we're just going to be talking about the groups of drugs, specifically like the psychoactive drugs and like what their general effects are for each kind of group of drugs. So first, maybe we should do a definition. Well, what is a psychoactive drug? A psychoactive drug is just it's a drug that mimics neurotransmitters like in the brain. Like, we have natural neurotransmitters. Psychoactives will just mimic those chemical transmitters, and it'll just alter our conscious because of those chemical processes. So psychoactive alter conscious by mimicking neurotransmitters in the brain. So that's like a very simple definition of psychoactive drug. And we're just going to be talking about the different groups of them and then what are the general effects of each group. So the first group we'll start with is depressants. Again, this is like not to recommend taking drugs. You do you. I'm not going for or against them. Maybe I'm slightly biased against not doing these, but I don't know, it's your choice. So what are depressants? Depressants, the main, bro, I don't really like that line. Bro. Okay, depressants basically just depress the activity of the central nervous system. So depressants depress, like in other words, lower activity of the central nervous system, which I'll just abbreviate to CNS. And what kind of like feeling is it? It gives you like a kind of calming effect, maybe slightly sleepy, but just calming / sleepy effect. I personally have not done drugs in my life, so I don't really know exactly what these symptoms feel like, but maybe if you already done them, you could confirm in the comments below. Again, I'm not like motivating, I'm not trying to be like for or against, but you do you. It's all up to your choice. Okay, anyways, so what are some examples of this? Well, an example of one is like a common example is just alcohol. In small doses, it'll have like kind of a relaxation mood, elevating your mood, maybe impair your judgment a bit, and your inhibition lowers, like your ability to make decisions. It just becomes worse. Large doses, you'll have impairment, you won't be able to concentrate fully, and you'll also have lower muscle coordination. So just to simplify, small dose, relax, higher mood, lower judgment, plus intuition. In larger doses, you just like no muscle coordination. The reason it messes up, bro, damn. The reason muscle coordination lowers is because in your semicircular canals, you kind of have like a liquid there that kind of like, I don't know if it's like sand particles or things like that, but like when they move, your like receptors in the semicircular canals will recognize that movement, and you'll be able to tell which way you're oriented. Now, when you're high, like when you're drunk on alcohol, those semicircular canals will be filled with alcohol, I believe, and then that will just mess up how you're balancing. So like you'll turn to one way and you'll overestimate that, and you'll try fixing yourself up the other way, and you'll just end up overestimating that as well, and you'll just go into like some like you'll just be messed up, so that's kind of what it means by muscle coordination lowers, not being able to kind of fully like walk straight and things like that, is because of like the semicircular canals being messed up. You also get concentration impairment. So again, like don't take my word to do these things. Like, don't look at me for a reason to do them. I'm just giving you unbiased information, maybe slightly biased towards not doing it. But anyways, the next group of drugs we have are stimulants. So stimulants are basically the exact opposite of depressants, kind of. So stimulants will stimulate the CNS. while depressants will depress the CNS. So these will stimulate, or maybe in more simple terms, it'll just kind of rev up your CNS. So what are the effects of it? Well, maybe we should just, because I learned 2 specific examples of stimulants, so I'll just go over the effects of each one. So examples. Number 1, we have nicotine. And what this will do is it'll kind of make your receptors to be more sensitive to acetylcholine, which makes you feel more stimulated in the end. So increase sensitivity to acetylcholine, and then you'll feel higher stimulation, but also somehow you'll feel a bit more relaxed as well. Don't ask me why that happens, that's just what I have in my notes, but it's like stimulation, but you also feel more relaxed somehow. So yeah, another effect of nicotine is you'll have like an adjustable value kind of thing, and what this does is it'll like enhance your positive emotional reactions, but it'll reduce your negative emotions. So it's like you'll feel high off the good things, and you won't even care that much about like things that go on bad. Like, so let's say you're like on nicotine, right? And then like something good happens, that good thing will be like amplified by a lot. But let's say something bad happens, like you stub your toe or something, you won't care about it at all, because you're already like happy about the good things. So adjustable value, amplify. Actually, I'll just put an arrow if this thing will work. Okay. Now the next kind of example I have is cocaine. So cocaine, this is the most powerful, I don't know, there's not really effect, but maybe I'll just write this as like a fun fact kind of. This is the most powerful natural stimulant. So now the effects of cocaine is that it'll block the reuptake of norepinephrine and dopamine in your synapses. Like the steps of like kind of like neurotransmission is that there's the last step is the reuptake step, where they'll kind of clean up in between the synapse, so there's not like any neurotransmitters left in. What cocaine will do is it'll leave those neurotransmitters in like those synapses, and it'll just keep on accumulating there, and you'll just feel happier and happier and like stuff like that, and you'll be in like a state of euphoria, because you'll be like you'll have like all those neurotransmitters like left in your synapses. So prevent reuptake, leave therefore neurotransmitters accumulate in synapse. What kind of neurotransmitters? Well, there's dopamine and norepinephrine, which I already mentioned, and I think those are the main 2 ones: dopamine, norepinephrine. And those are like the 2 main types of stimulants, and those are like the kind of effects. So like I feel like it's pretty like common sense. Like a stimulant, the effect, it'll stimulate you. Depressants, it'll depress you. You'll feel like it's just, I don't know, I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory, So the next thing we have here is sedatives plus hypnotics. We'll just call them sedatives. So a sedative, do you know what sedate means? It's like sedate, like sedate, like you go to sleep, like you tranquilize, like so what sedatives are you okay, wait, this is low-key messy. Sedatives. Okay, so what sedatives will do, well, they're used to mainly treat anxiety and insomnia. Sedative, sedate, tranquilize, sleep, kind of thing like that. So treat and high doses, those will have stronger depressant effects. Depress your CNS. But high doses, they can like lead to death, coma, and just being unconscious. So high dose equal depressant effects. Yo, did I tell you I got a 90 on my OChem midterm, bro? I'm actually so gassed from that. But I got like absolutely humbled from my econ midterm, bro. My grade just dropped. Don't really have any examples for sedatives. We didn't really learn them. So I'll just leave that as it is right now. Okay, now the fourth group we have here are opiates or narcotics. Opiates, like opium. And what these are used for is just to relieve pain and kind of induce sleep. So fall asleep. I guess you could like relate like hypnotics, like hypnotize to sleep. I don't know. Or like hypnosis will relieve pain. I don't know. Like I really don't. Wait, no, yeah. No. Wait, not hypnotics. This is what I wrote last time. This is what the last group was. This is narcotics. My fault. Fall asleep. So, yeah, ignore that hypnotics part. I really don't know what I was saying with that. Fall asleep and relieve pain. So a common example or a well-known example is heroin. What this will do, you'll feel a sense of euphoria. And something special about heroin is that you go into full withdrawal after a single dose. Usually, in order to get into withdrawal, you have to have multiple like intakes and stuff like that. But with heroin, you'll get hooked on it right away, like just off the first dose. So that's like something dangerous about it. So yeah, really dangerous, I'd say. Some other examples of these include morphine and also codeine. So morphine, I'm not sure if you know about this, but there's this one, I think it's, but I don't remember the name of it. There's this other neurotransmitter that works in coordinates with your what's it called? Your sympathetic nervous system in order to mitigate pain. So that's kind of like what morphine will do. It'll relieve pain, but morphine is like kind of like an unnatural way. Our body will produce a natural neurotransmitter when we're like actually in like the sympathetic nervous system, like when we're trying to run away from danger, because when we're like in like kind of a dangerous setting, we want to be more focused on getting like out of that area. Like if you're getting chased by a bear and you stub your toe, you're not going to be really caring too much about your stub toe. I guess this could go with like gate control theory, things like that, but with morphine, it's just like an artificial way. But I'm trying to find like what the name of the actual thing is, because it sounds the same. It's just like the alter ego of it, what I'm saying? So I really don't know where it is. Endorphins. Yeah, so endorphins are internally produced morphines. So yeah, that's a fun fact if you, or like a way to like relate everything together if you were curious. And it goes to so like it's like with like the relieving pain kind of things like that. But anyways, getting distracted. I need to get ready for school. So we have opiates, hypnotic, which are narcotics, and then we also have second last group, we have psychedelics. Psychedelics. These are also known as hallucinogens. Hallucinogens. Hallucinogen. So hallucinations, those are like altered states of mind. That's like considered an altered state of consciousness, and it's caused by intense emotion. It's caused by sleep deprivation, caused by migraines, things like that. But that's like hallucinations. We're talking about hallucinogens. So these are like kind of going to induce hallucinations. If you're able to kind of deduce that from the name. Wait, deduce? I don't really know. Wait, deduce? I don't know. But these are gonna just kind of cause hallucinations to occur. So these are like, I don't know, like cause altered state of consciousness. Or maybe I'll say like state of thought / mood. And how this works is just it's interfering with the serotonin in your synapse. Synapse. Okay, where's serotonin? And yeah, serotonin helps with sleep arousal, mood, eating, things like that. So I guess like that's kind of why it would cause you to be in like an altered state of thought. Yeah, like that's kind of like my relation to that. I don't really know. Also, like another like way it's working is that it's associated with areas in like high dopamine receptors, and it'll cause like dramatic shifts with that in your perceptions and consciousness. So associated with areas high in dopamine receptors. Wow, low-key, you feel like I'm way more cooked for this midterm than I thought I was, bro. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna retain any of this. I feel like I will now that I'm like speaking it out and stuff like that, but I don't really know. Some examples of this: LSD and ecstasy. And yeah, so now we'll just go on to our last kind of drug. That's marijuana. So marijuana is considered its own kind of drug because it has its own depressant effects, but it also is like it's not fully just a depressant. If I'm being like right here, like maybe I might be wrong. Wait, I can't find it in my notes. I don't want to be giving false information. I don't think I wrote this in my notes. I just remember that's the last topic that I learned about. 1 second. So, how's your day going? Hopefully it's going well. I just can't wait to get this midterm over with, honestly, because then I won't have another midterm for like another 2 weeks, and then it'll just be finals, and then we're almost going to be done this semester. And then I gotta start locking in for the DAT, bro. Bro, I need to cook on this DAT, bro. Trust, bro. I'm gonna do crazy on this one. I'm gonna do crazy. Anyways, so back to marijuana. What do I want to say about this? So I'm in Canada, so marijuana it's legal now, which is pretty nice. But some effects of marijuana, you'll feel like the munchies. Again, I've never done any of these, so I don't really exactly know how each one feels, but my psych prof definitely has, because she was going into detail about the effects of these. So yeah. Of touch, being giggly. Yeah, I remember one of my friends, she was on this and she was just laughing like crazy, bro. I guess that makes sense now. Sense of time slowing down. And there's like other effects, but most of these effects are due to THC. This is like the main oil in marijuana leaf. Um, and yeah, that's kind of like the main like effects, main overview of all these kind of types of drugs. The reason, like, bro, I don't remember the exact reason why marijuana is considered different. Let me just look through my notes real quick. Um, okay, so it's a hallucinogen and and it has its depressant effects. So I believe that because it's okay, so it's not a stimulant, bro. I got that wrong. The I think the reason that it's considered its own group is because um, I believe hallucinogen. I mean, I feel like wait, maybe it's depressants, bro. I don't even know. Depressants, I think are just like depressants are just depressants. Like if you're just a depressant, then you're a depressant. But if you have other effects like hallucinogen, like you're a hallucinogen, and a depressant, then you get your own category, and that's marijuana. Like the depressant category is only for the depressants. So that's why it's kind of in its own category, I would say. Um, yeah. So that's gonna honestly wrap it up, I feel like. And I'll see you tomorrow. Let me just paste this into here. But yeah, that's like honestly a pretty brief overview. Again, this is kind of like really unstructured, it's just like blurting out all the information that I try to remember. And I'm not that confident in psych right now. I've just been leaving it for the very last day, and here we are. We might be cooked. Last midterm didn't go too bad, but I felt the same way as last midterm. I did not study at all, and I did quite well on it. I'm pretty happy with how I did. So hopefully the same thing will happen with this one. I'm not trying to keep any hopes up though. So yeah, I actually really need to do on this, bro. I need to boost my confidence again, bro. But yeah, that's all for today, and I'll see you tomorrow, probably for some Chem 102 now, because all my midterms are done. It's just Chem 102, and I got to catch up on that, so I'll slowly start working on Chem 102. So yeah, chemical equilibria, stuff like that. So yeah, goodbye. Have a good day.